The rain had a way of revealing who people really were. That morning, it poured relentlessly over the city's tallest glass towers, washing away the shine and leaving everything exposed. At the top of one such tower stood a woman who had everything money could buy and yet felt hollow enough to echo. She was known in headlines as a ruthless billionaire, admired for her brilliance and feared for her cold precision. But as she stared down at the city blurred by rain, her voice trembled with a confession she had never allowed herself to speak aloud. "I want a baby. Can you help?" Across town, in a small apartment where the heater rattled and the walls carried memories of laughter and loss, a single father paused mid-motion while tying his son's shoelaces. "Why me?" he whispered to no one in particular, his mind already heavy with responsibility. He had learned long ago that life never asked permission before placing burdens on your shoulders. Her name was Alina Voss. She had built an empire from nothing but stubbornness and sleepless nights, turning a childhood of neglect into fuel. Every deal she closed, every company she acquired, was proof to the world that she needed no one. Yet success came at a cost she never accounted for. Friends drifted away, love became transactional, and time slipped through her fingers faster than money ever could. When doctors told her the truth in sterile rooms with polite sympathy, the words echoed louder than any boardroom applause. Time was running out. She didn't want a fairy tale romance. She didn't believe in it. She wanted a child, something real, something that would look at her without calculating profit or loss. And she wanted control, even over this. That was why she approached him with a proposal that sounded more like a contract than a plea. Daniel Reyes had once dreamed of more. He had been a teacher, a man who believed patience could change the world. Then a drunk driver changed his world instead. His wife was gone in an instant, leaving him with a 3-year-old son and a grief so heavy it bent his spine. Since then, Daniel had learned how to pack lunches with one hand and wipe tears with the other. He worked nights, taught during the day, and slept in fragments. He had no space for ambition anymore, only survival. Their paths crossed by accident, the kind of accident that felt planned by fate. Daniel's son, Leo, wandered into Alina's building during a charity event, fascinated by the lights and marble floors. Security panicked. Daniel apologized 100 times, and Alina watched from a distance as the exhausted father dropped to his knees to hug his child like he had almost lost him forever. Something in her cracked in that moment. The tenderness, the fear, the love that needed no words. It was everything she didn't know how to buy. She had people investigate Daniel quietly. His life unfolded on her tablet like a story she couldn't stop reading. Honest, kind, broken but standing. And most importantly, a man who loved being a father. When she finally asked him, her tone was direct, almost harsh, as if vulnerability were a language she barely spoke. "I want a baby. Can you help?" Daniel stared at her, unsure if he had misheard. He felt small sitting across from her in a room worth more than his entire life. "Why me?" he asked, not out of pride, but fear. She told him the truth in pieces at first, then all at once. She didn't need romance. She needed hope. She offered money, security, opportunities he could never give his son alone. Daniel listened, heart pounding. He saw the temptation clearly. He also saw the danger. He had already lost one family. He couldn't afford to lose himself. Days turned into sleepless nights. Daniel watched Leo sleep, his tiny chest rising and falling, and wondered what kind of world he was supposed to build for him. Alina's offer could change everything. Better schools. A safer neighborhood. Freedom from constant worry. But at what cost? When he finally agreed, it wasn't because of the money. It was because he saw loneliness behind Alina's sharp edges, a child still waiting to be chosen. He made his boundaries clear. No lies. No using the child as leverage. And above all, respect. Alina surprised him by agreeing without argument. It was the first compromise she had made in years. Their arrangement began awkwardly, two strangers bound by a future neither fully understood. Alina tried to manage everything: schedules, doctors, outcomes. Daniel pushed back gently, reminding her that some things couldn't be controlled. Especially love. As months passed, something unexpected happened. Alina started to soften. She listened when Daniel spoke. She laughed at Leo's jokes. She learned to sit on the floor instead of towering over it. And Daniel, in turn, began to see beyond the headlines. He saw a woman who had never been held when she cried, who believed strength meant silence. When the pregnancy was confirmed, Alina locked herself in her office and cried alone. Not tears of fear, but relief. Daniel found her hours later, still staring at the test like it might disappear. He didn't say anything. He just sat beside her. For the first time, she let someone share her silence. The world didn't change overnight. There were arguments, misunderstandings, moments when old habits resurfaced. Alina tried to buy her way out of discomfort. Daniel reminded her that presence mattered more than presence. She struggled. He struggled. But they kept choosing to show up. As her belly grew, so did her humanity. She canceled meetings to attend school plays. She learned the art of listening without interrupting. She apologized when she was wrong, a word she had once considered weakness. Daniel watched her transformation with cautious hope. The night the baby was born, the city lights flickered like they were holding their breath. Alina gripped Daniel's hand, terrified and brave all at once. When she heard the cry, something ancient and powerful awakened in her. She wasn't a billionaire in that moment. She was a mother. Daniel watched her hold the child, tears streaming freely, and realized he was witnessing a redemption not just hers, but his own. He had feared being replaced, being unnecessary. Instead, he found himself expanded, his heart making room for something new. They didn't become a fairy tale couple overnight. Their relationship was built on honesty, not illusion. Some days were hard. Some days were beautiful. But they were real. Years later, people would still talk about Alina Voss, the business titan. Fewer would talk about Alina Voss, the woman who learned that love was not a transaction. Daniel returned to teaching full-time, supported but not overshadowed. Leo grew up surrounded by care, watching two adults choose kindness over ego again and again. And it all began with a question that sounded cold but carried a desperate hope. I want a baby. Can you help? And an answer that changed everything. Why me? Sometimes, life brings us together not because we are perfect, but because we are exactly what each other needs to become better. Kindness doesn't always arrive gently. Sometimes it knocks in the form of a challenge, daring us to rise. If this story touched your heart, remember that transformation is always possible, no matter how hard or lonely the journey feels. Choose kindness. Choose empathy. And if you believe in stories that heal and inspire, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep kindness alive, one story at a time.